If you're going to spend millions of dollars buying a business, obviously you want to get it right. This means choosing the best business model, which means understanding those business models, their risks and opportunities, but also where to buy these multi-million dollar deals that are great deals, not lofty, inflated valuations, poor financials, and dud listings. Thankfully, I've been buying seven-figure business for people and have a lot of first-hand experience. And if you can appreciate me sharing what I've learned, of the hundreds of deals, thousands of deals I've looked at, please share some love by doing the old like on the video. I'd love that and really would appreciate it. Firstly, let's talk money though. If you're buying $1 million business, please do not be using all of your own cash unless you're a gazillionaire. You should be using finance, and it's very, very valuable to use finance. Obviously, not everybody has to, but it's super valuable. If you're in the States, let me know. I can recommend some good lenders to you. If you're outside of the US, well, the options are limited at the moment, but there is, some places and some finances popping up. I would suggest you jumping on Google and doing a bit of research, and you should be able to find a few. Now to the good stuff. What's the best businesses to buy? I'm going to run through a bunch of different business models for you and sort of just go through some of the pros and the cons, and that'll help you build out a bit of an acquisition criteria. So firstly, we have e-commerce brands. E-commerce businesses, it's a very broad sort of statement to buy an e-commerce business. There's many different business models within e-commerce. First, you've got self-product distribution, right? So you've got products that you can buy from manufacturer and then you can ship them to your own warehouse or your own garage and you self-distribute as orders come in. Then you have dropship, right? Or dropship is you can sell other people's products or products that you kind of sort of have manufactured yourself, and then the manufacturer will send them out to the customer for you, and you don't have any warehousing in between at all. I've had a business like this where we sold tailor-made suits online, and they designed the suits in Thailand and then send them out to our customers for us all around the world. And that was basically a drop ship model. Then we have 3PL. Okay, so third-party logistics is what that stands for, or FBA, which is very popularized, fulfillment by Amazon. So they're the different types of business models within e-commerce alone. And with those, you want to if you're going to choose e-commerce, you want to understand which ones are going to be more fulfilling for you. Do you really want to do self-product distribution? Do you really want to do dropship, 3PL, or FBA? There's pros and cons to each of them. Okay, so let me go through the pros and cons to each of them. Self-product distribution, you can save money. The harder thing is that you either need to distribute yourself or hire a team to distribute that, and you need to pay for warehousing. But typically you can save a bit more money doing that, because third-party logistics that can be expensive. It can rack up a bit of money doing that. But the pros to that third-party logistics is you're not doing any of that distribution and that work yourself. Then you have dropshipping. Dropshipping is great because you don't have to, you sell the product before you purchase it, which is absolutely awesome. And you don't need to warehouse it, right? So there's better margins in it. But also with that, margins are typically lower per product than if you're just doing self-product distribution or 3PL or Amazon FBA. So now let's talk about Amazon FBA. These Amazon FBA are great because it covers so much, right? They have a platform that is hungry buyers, so it makes marketing a little bit easier. Also, when people go on Amazon, they're just there to buy, right? They're not there to just browse around. They're typically closer to purchasing something in their buying cycle, their buying journey. So that's why Amazon is such a popularized business model. And then fulfillment by Amazon means they have their own third-party logistic company where they do fulfillment for you. Now, the risks with Amazon is that when you list on Amazon, they can take your listing down for any sort of reason, based on their terms and services and their policies. And then also, the fees can be quite high for third parties logistics through FBA, and then warehousing fees as well. So you need to work out on a balance, if you're going for an e-commerce business, which sort of one you would like to take on. Personally, I love drop shipping. And for me, if it was me personally, I'd be going for something that's drop shipping or third-party logistics that's not completely tied to Amazon. So I can still sell things on Amazon and still use FBA, but I can also have a sales distribution channel that's off Amazon as well. So it's not single source dependency, just on Amazon. They're the types of e-commerce brands that I like. And then you have different things within each e-commerce brand, is how popular is their brand? How many reviews they have on Amazon or off Amazon? How big is their email list? What's their product? What, is there a great profit margin? Do they have a lot of products they're selling? Is it very complex? Or is it only a few, like up to 10 products where it's very, very simple? Then you have the pros and cons of ads. Ads are great, but are they single source dependency on ads? And if so, it could be a good thing because it's just working really well and you just pour more money into it as a new owner. Or it could be risky if that didn't, that one ad platform's not working as well, that you're not getting sales from another channel. So there's pros and cons to e-commerce brands. Most people, when they come to buying an online business, they're going for e-commerce brands. And most businesses in that $1 to $5 million price range are going to be e-commerce brands. And what I do like about e-commerce brands is, yes, they have some level of risk, but they're very, very scalable. Once you have a marketing system that works really well, you just pour money into it and it scales a lot faster, which is really, really cool about e-commerce brands. And it might take you, if you're buying a business, it's already got a system, it might be just putting more money into that system and scaling it, or might be just ironing out some kinks within that system, or, working on another marketing channel. And then once you've worked that out, it might take 6 months or so. And then you just pour money into that and then you sell it for a higher valuation. This is what I love about e-commerce brands. They're a lot faster to scale. And there's a lot of people buying and selling them. So it's easy to buy and sell e-commerce brands than some of the other business models. So that's one type of business model within the $1 to $5 million price range. The second one is media businesses. Okay, so what are media businesses? These are blogs. So people that are blogging that are making money from ads, sponsored placements, can be affiliate revenue. They can also, have their own sort of like products as well, or could they be selling other products on their blog too? So they can be blogs, they can be news websites, any type of website that creates some sort of media. It could be videos on the blog. It could be audio. It could be text as well. It could be all three. It could be like a magazine. Other media businesses can be like YouTube channels. You can buy Facebook groups. You can buy Instagram accounts. You can buy TikTok channels. You can even buy newsletters where people will be on a specific newsletter. They might be paying per month, or they might be just getting free newsletters, but the newsletter is sponsored by an advertiser, or they're putting affiliate links in the newsletter articles. So they're media businesses. Now, I love media businesses because producing media these days is pretty cheap and pretty easy. AI can create a lot of it, and then you can have humans tweak it to make it very humanized and super valuable. So yeah, creating media these days is quite cheap and very, very scalable. And there's so many options to sell products, right? You don't have to sell your own products. You can sell other people's products. You could get affiliate commissions, ads. This media business is very dynamic and very malleable to create it into a lifestyle business that you really, really like. I personally love media businesses. At the moment, YouTube channels and newsletters are great business to be buying. And I would say continuing ones, they're probably going to be great business for a long, long period of time as well. The cons of media businesses is that sometimes if you're trying to get advertisers, getting better agreements with advertisers might be tough, or if your audience is very, very spread between not a particular niche, it's spread between multiple niches, it can be hard to nail down like what sort of products you want to be selling. But I love media businesses. They're really, really cool. Now, the last type of business model is like a recurring revenue business model. Now, these can be newsletters as well, but they're mostly like membership businesses, software type businesses. Now, recurring revenue businesses are the holy grail for most people when they want to buy an online business, right? They can be software businesses, but they also can be like those membership e-learning type businesses. So it could be a software that does a certain thing. It might do some AI work for people. It could be a software that produces content for people. It could be a software that, like Zoom, hosts video calls. It could be a software for B2B. It could do a certain thing for a business or a customer. Now, the pros to software businesses is, especially if they're B2B businesses and it's a $1 to $5 million sort of acquisition within a software business, then what I like about it is it's very, very sticky. And what we talk about with stickiness is the retention is quite high. So they retain their members. Now, if you're using a software in your business and you've got a team that's trained to use that, the likelihood it's going to be a lot harder for you to change using that service because you're just using it again and again. It's easy, right? So the stickiness, and if you're if you're making that service, or the person that you're buying that service from, that software from, is just making that software better and better and better, and the price is staying the same, then they're going to retain you a lot better, and you're going to stay using that software for basically as long as you are in that business. And that's the really good thing about software businesses. The retention is really high, which means the recurring revenue is really good, which means you've got a lot of cash there on hand to be able to scale the business too. Now, the cons to software businesses is that they can be, you need to do your due diligence on the software, see if it's out of date, see if that software business could just become a free feature of maybe Google or Zoom or another big company, and they just decide to add that in as a free feature, and then why would people pay for your software anymore? So there's those little things you need to be thinking about in terms of like looking at market research and competitive due diligence when you're buying a software business. Then you have e-learning businesses. I would say e-learning businesses in an evergreen niche are just so damn good. The holy grail, for example, like in sports and guitar or hobbies where people are learning certain things, that content's never really going to go out of date, right? The courses and stuff like that. And you can always sell new people into it. Depending on the niche and the hobby, people in it for life and they're getting value, they're going to stay for a long period of time. And I really love recurring revenue e-learning businesses. The cons to those businesses is that, yes, sometimes if it's a hobby or a niche where people only are interested in something for 6 months or a year, you don't have the retention. So you might need to get the right price point or buy a business that has the right price point for that. So they're those types of business models. So next, out of these, what you want to do is you want to consider which is the best one for you to buy that's specific to you. Everyone has different needs and different wants and desires, and what may be not so good for you may be great for somebody else, and vice versa, which is why you should be sitting down and asking yourself multiple times and spend a bit of time doing this. You don't need to have the answer right away. Is based on the businesses that I just explained, which one feels right for you? Come back to this video and listen to that part again. I went through some of this quite fast because I know these businesses the back of my hand, and I just spit it out quite fast. So maybe you rewatch this and sit with it and process and digest what is the right business model for me. And next, do not rush into buying a business. Understand what one you want to buy first, and then you start to make the methodical steps of getting your ducks in a row. The first one is financing. Work out what you can finance. If you're buying something for between $1 to $5 million, like I mentioned at the start of the video, is you want to probably use finance, right? So if you're using SBA for $1 million business, you can put anywhere from 100 grand to 200K in. So you're going to need $100,000 to $200,000 capital. For a $5 million business, you're going to need, and you're using SBA, you're probably going to need around the 500K range, maybe up to $1 million range. There are some instances that you can use, 95% loan to value ratio. If it's your first acquisition, it's likely not going to happen, but stick with the 10 to 20% deposit range, right? So like the 80 to 90% loan to value ratio. So work out what sort of finance you can get, the capabilities. If you need help finding a lender that does SBA, let me know. I can refer you to a bunch of people. Getting finance does cost money, obviously, but it's well worth it, and there are also tax deductions too. So work out what amount of finance you can get. And then once you know what sort of finance you can get, that may also help you determine what your acquisition strategy is. So that's the second thing you need to do, is you need to work out, okay, I've got my finance. Say, for example, you've got $3 million and you're like, cool, I got $3 million. Then you want to work out what sort of business model do I want to buy with $3 million? What sort of business can I see myself running, or can I see myself hiring people to help me run or run for me? And is it a software business? Is it an e-commerce business? Is it a media business? And there's no right or wrong. It's going to be based on what fulfills you. So you might need to speak to and bring these options up with other, online business owners. I'm not going to say, for people that don't know much about online businesses, they're probably going to tell you not to go away and do this because it's too risky, because why would you do it if they don't understand it, right? So speak with somebody that has experience. Obviously, I set up acquisition strategies for people. Reach out if you need a hand. So they're the things you need to get in a row: is finance, work out what sort of business model you want, and then your type of acquisition strategy, and then you can go to market. Word of warning though, before you go to market, don't rely just on brokers. I'm going to mention a couple of brokers here that you can look at. We've got empireflippers.com, We've got quietlight.com. We've got feinternational.com. We've got websiteclosers.com. We've got websiteproperties.com. You can go away and check those out. I'll have links to a bunch of those in the video description as well. Now, these guys pre-vet deals, they list them. A lot of them are great businesses, but don't just rely on those. Like if you can't find something that's in your actual buy box or in your acquisition strategy, then you can use an M&A advisor, right? Who has a network and can get off-market deals for you. You know, if you're a beginner in acquisitions, and especially if you're buying something between the $1 million to $5 million price range, get an M&A advisor and pay their fees. Their fees pay for itself. They're well worth it. If you need, like I do a lot of this work for people, I can chat to you or I can refer you to somebody else. Or if you're buying something that's slightly under the $1 million price range, check out buyingonlinebusiness.com. We help people buy under the 7-figure range. And we also have courses. We also have coaching. But if you're brand new to this and you're just sort of scratching the surface, get my due diligence framework. It's free. Buyingonlinebusiness.com/free resources is what I use, or what a lot of my clients use to buy businesses. It takes the guesswork out of buying businesses and it's free. So check it out. I hope you got a lot of value from this video. If you did, please let me know what part of the video you did get value from so I can create more of these videos for you around that certain subject. Awesome. I would appreciate a love with the thumbs up and I'll speak to you guys on the next vid.